According to these documents, Hans Schielmann, known as the Rat Killer, was considered the greatest specialist in chemical poison in the world.
Is he at liberty?
Happily, no. He has been held in the high security wing of London's Westgate prison for many years now.
Then he cannot be the one who concocted the poison.
Don't dismiss him too quickly, Watson. According to Scotland Yard, the man's exceptionally intelligent. For the greatest criminals, prison is but a mere obstacle. Let's plan a little visit to see Mr. Schielmann tomorrow. Tooth marks, rather deep ones, I'd say of incisors, and a canine. Fragments of skin, a phalanx. This finger wasn't cut off, it was ripped off. Black and damp earth under the nail. Interesting.
Bite marks on this severed finger. I am afraid of the significance.
The thieves didn't get what they wanted. When they were faced with the bishop's refusal to operate, one of the gang shook his finger at him to indicate that he was responsible for his unfortunate state.
And the poor man, whose head was the only part of him not bound by ropes, bit the finger violently enough to sever it. An uncommonly savage act.
Watson, I am certain that when we have explained the reasons behind this sudden bestiality, we will have revealed a larger part of mystery. I have cut a small piece off the rope. That should be enough. A lot of fragments of black stone are wedged into this rope. Their color seems unnatural, but they are too small for me to examine them. Black and damp earth. This rope is only worn on one side. I must compare the samples of earth that I found. I must compare. And if I mix this earth with another substance, now it must all be stirred. The samples of earth taken from beneath the fingernail and from the ropes originate from the same place.
How do you know?
It took just a little water to analyze the consistency. The soil has retained its moisture, even though there hasn't been rain in London for over a week.
This soil would come from the bank of a river, or somewhere where the evaporation is slower. A mine, perhaps, or a trench.
The banks of the Thames are clay soil, unlike our samples, so we can rule that out. The nearest mines are a dozen miles away, so I would rule that out also. I would therefore conclude your last theory to be nearer the mark.
A trench?
A pit. This fragment of stone is very smooth, and it seems to be of a peculiar quality. I shall have to strip it with one of my products. This stone appears to be the same as those found within the rope's fibers. This stone is granite, covered in black paint. The fragments found in the rope and this piece of granite come from the same place. There is something written on this scalpel. I should clean it. I can make out WCCH. What do the initials stand for? How many hospitals are there in the Whitechapel area, Watson?
If we count public dispensaries, enough to keep us busy for an entire month. Did this scalpel come from a hospital?
Yes, as the WCCH engraved upon it show us. We must think on how best to deal with this. We do not have the time to investigate every hospital in Whitechapel. Watson, bring me your register of the London hospitals.
Studying the scalpel has new an idea.
Indeed.
I'll get it. Hospitals and dispensaries in London. I have found my booms.
Good. Put it on the work table, will you?
Here is the section showing Whitechapel. I made several notations on these pages during our investigation into the Ripper, which might prove useful. All we need to do is to find a hospital or a public dispensary near a location where pits have been dug and black granite has been used.
It's simplicity itself. I haven't finished my analysis. Well done, Watson. Our board is finished. It confirms that the bishop's murderers work for one person, who, amongst other things, possesses a very sophisticated poison. They therefore act for someone more educated than themselves. Now I can make the right decision.
The public dispensary number 4661. It's just opposite the Whitechapel Street Cemetery.
Yes, Watson. The murderer with the missing finger must work in the cemetery, or at least visit it. He could have taken a rope, one of the type they lower the coffins into the graves. The granite is minute particles of tombstone.
And he only had to cross the road to steal a scalpel from the dispensary opposite.
You remember Wiggins and his gang, the Baker Street Irregulars?
Yes, the urchins, whom you employ upon occasion, and Wiggins is their leader.
Yes, I have hired their services again. I have instructed them to find out the address of the bishop's nephew.
I think he's here.
Hello, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, my own, have you found the information for which the good Dr. Watson is going to pay you?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, it was easy.
Very well, I understand. A hearer of Henny's.
Thanks, Dr. Watson. The man you're looking for lives near Kensington.
Does he live alone?
Yes, but he rents a room for an old lady.
Did she see you?
No, Mr. Holmes, not saw me.
Perfect. Watson, give our young friend another shilling as a reward for his discretion.
Here we go again. But of course. I'm falling asleep, Holmes. Aren't you tired?
No, I have an exceptional constitution. I can't remember ever having been fatigued by work. Idleness, on the other hand, exhausts me completely. Go to bed, Watson. The night will be we leave at dawn.
Now this is a real challenge better than stories. I want to know what happens next. Keep reading and think too. I want to listen to. My readers must excuse me if I do describe in full detail here the terrible images which haunted me that night.
I had a sense that something extraordinary would take place, but I was scarcely prepared for the reality of it. Good morning, Holmes. Did you get any rest?
I did not attempt to sleep.
Have you managed to come to any conclusions?
I think we might follow 3 trails. We can visit Whitechapel to try to discover the identity of the murderers by making inquiries at Dispensary 4661 and at the Whitechapel Street Cemetery.
The poison trail seems more important to me. We should perhaps go to Westgate Prison.
Yes, and let us not forget the bishop's irascible located each place on our map of London.
Holmes, let me remind you that we still have not been officially instructed to investigate this affair.
Well, we'll just have to hide that small detail. Whitechapel. Let's go.
Here we are in the heart of Whitechapel. Keep an eye on your wallet, Holmes. This area is the highest for pickpockets all of the kingdom.
Don't worry about my wallet, Watson. It would be easier to move big than to steal from me.
I'll borrow a shilling from you.
Amusing, Watson. Very amusing. Can we move on to more serious matters?
I'm listening.
Here's the public dispensary that we're looking for.
This cemetery is the very image of Whitechapel, sinister, frightening, and ill-kept. A terrible for one's final rest.
At least hunger no longer gnaws at them. A leaflet for the soup kitchen. This leaflet is dated for the day after tomorrow. The tickets for the soup kitchen are given out the same day. Only somebody who works there could have written on it. Let us see if the elements analyzed in Baker Street and this cemetery have something in common. This rope is only worn on one side. This rope is only worn on one side. The rope used to tie up the Bishop of Knightsbridge came from this cemetery. It is only worn on the one side because it is used to lower coffins into graves. Let us see if the elements analyzed in Baker Street and this cemetery have something in common. Black and damp earth. Earth freshly turned over, still damp. This dark, damp earth is the same type as that which was found at the Bishop of Knightsbridge's home.
It came from a grave, then. What a lovely thought.
Let us see if the elements analyzed in Baker Street and this cemetery have something in common. Granite. These stones are of the same granite. Black paint. The same black paint covers these stones. This black painted stone is identical to the fragments found in the rope which analyzed at Baker Street and in the footprints of the Bishop of Knightsbridge's murderers. Everything coincides. The fragments of granite at the Bishop's home came from the tombstones of this cemetery,
As well as the rope that was used to restrain the poor man. One of those used to lower the coffins.
I can think of only two reasons why anyone should happen to spend a deal of time in a cemetery. Either he is at rest here, or he works here. At least one of the Bishop's murderers is employed here.
A shame. If he was here, it would have made our job easier.